Hi guys, this is Ravi here. Today I am going to talk about the amino acids. So what are the amino acids? Amino acids are the building blocks of the proteins. All the major structural and functional aspects of the body are carried out by the protein. So all the proteins are made up of amino acids, or we can say proteins are the polymers of the amino acid. So before going to learn about the proteins, we should know classification and the functions of the amino acids, and we should know about the importance of the non-standard amino acids. So this is the general structure of the amino acids. If you see this structure, in the central we have center alpha carbon, and we have carboxylic group and amino group attached to the same carbon. That's why it is called as an alpha carbon. Then what we have is hydrogen atom and R group. So R group is generally considered as the side chain of the amino acid. This alpha carbon, carboxylic group and the amino group, all these are common in all the amino acids. So the amino acid different from each other based on the only by the side chain. Okay. And mostly these amino acids are exist in the ionic form like this. Okay, so in ionic forms usually amino acids are exist in our body. Again, due to the presence of this chiral carbon, that means one carbon attached to the 4 different molecules. Okay, so these amino acids exist optical isomerism. That means both at L and D forms are in our body. L alpha amino acids are present, whereas D forms are present in certain bacteria and the plants. Okay, so this is about the general structure of the amino acids. Now, classification of the amino acid. This is the important thing. Okay, so how amino acids are classified? They are classified based upon their structure, based upon their side chain, that means the chemical reactions, and based upon the metabolism. Okay, so we know amino acids are building blocks of the proteins, but what happens there when they undergo proteolysis? What happens to the carbon skeleton of that particular amino acids? So based upon that also amino acids are classified. Then based upon the nutritional requirement, this is very, very important. As I said, there are 21 amino acids are present in our body. So how many we have to consume through the diet and how many are synthesized in our body? Okay, so in that aspect, so nutritional requirements of the amino acids are very, very important. Okay, so first we will see about the based upon the structure how amino acids are classified. Okay, so based upon the structure, amino acids are classified like this. Okay, so they are aliphatic amino acids. Some are aromatic, some are heterocyclic, and some are amino acid. There is only one acid that is called amino acid, that is a proline. We'll see later in detail. Again, these aliphatic amino acids are again classified as a monoamino monocarboxylic acid, monoamino dicarboxylic, dibasic monocarboxylic acid. So in monoamino monocarboxylic acids, or we can say aliphatic amino acids, are again further classified into simple amino acids, which are glycine and alanine. Then we have branched chain amino acids, which are nothing but valine, leucine and isoleucine. Then we have amino acids based on their hydroxyl groups, which are nothing but serine and threonine. Okay, then we have sulfur containing amino acids in their side chain, which are cysteine and methionine. Okay, then amino acids contains amides in their structure. Those are asparagine and glutamate. Okay, so all these amino acids contains mono basic and monocarboxylic side chain in their structure, and all these are called as aliphatic. Aliphatic means they have side chain attached to the carbon, not aromatic ring. Okay, so this aromatic ring won't be present, only side chain will be present. Okay, yeah, so these are the structures of the aliphatic amino acid. So if I put H here, hydrogen atom, this is glycine, this is alanine. Next, if we go further, what we have here is, if we add two methyl groups, this is valine, then this is leucine, then last one is isoleucine. So this is isoleucine. Okay. Next, what we have is hydroxyl amino acids. So what are the hydroxyl amino acids? Two are there, serine and threonine. So okay, so this is serine and this will be threonine. Okay, so these two contain hydroxyl groups in their side chain. Next, what we have is the sulfur containing amino acids. So one is cysteine and cysteine. Okay, two molecules of cysteine condensed and forms the cysteine. This cysteine has disulfide bond. Okay, so if you see the structure of cysteine, it will be like this. So this is the sulfhydryl group. Okay, next what we have is the methyl donor, that is the methionine. Okay, so what is the structure of methionine? It has thioether group, which is CH2, CH2, yes, CH3. So it has a methyl group. So this methyl group will be donated to the acceptor molecule. So methionine is the methyl donor in many metabolic reactions. Okay. Next, what we have is the amino acids which has amide in their structure, which are asparagine and the glutamine. Okay, so asparagine, if you see the structure, it will be C11O and NH2. Okay, so this is also CH2, CH2, C11O and NH2. So whatever we have seen so far, all these are the monoamino monocarboxylic acids which comes under the aliphatic amino acids. Next what we have is the monoamino dicarboxylic acids, which are nothing but aspartic acid and the glutamic acid. Okay, so aspartic acid, it will be CH2 COO carboxylic acid, so that's why it is dicarboxylic. Next, this is again similar, so this is called glutamic acid. What we have here, alpha, beta, gamma carboxylic acid, here alpha, beta. So beta carboxylic acid is the side chain, whereas in the glutamic acid is the gamma carboxylic acid is the side chain. Okay, so these two are the monoamino dicarboxylic acids. Now we have dibasic monocarboxylic acid, which are nothing but the lysine and the arginine. Then aromatic amino acids, there is a benzene or phenol ring in this structure, which are phenylalanine and the tyrosine. So if you see, this is the phenylalanine which has a benzene group, and this is the tyrosine which has a phenol ring which has hydroxyl group attached to it. Now what we have in the further classification, heterocyclic amino acids, which are tryptophan and the histidine. The last what we have is the amino acid, which is the proline. You can see the structures here. This is the tryptophan, this is the histidine, and this is the proline. So why I have written proline in yellow color? There is a reason. When you do chromatography of the amino acids and if you spray with an anhydrine, proline will give yellow color, whereas the remaining all amino acids will produce blue color when you spray with an anhydrine. Okay, then why tryptophan and the previous slide tyrosine I have written in the red color means These two, tyrosine and the tryptophan, they are responsible for the light absorption of the proteins at 280 nanometer in the spectrophotometer. So that is the classification of the amino acids based upon their structure. Now, based upon the chemical nature of the side chain, again these amino acids are classified into 4 types. Okay, so it is like based upon their polarity. Okay, so polarity itself reflects the structural role of a amino acids in the proteins. They might be hydrophobic or it might be hydrophilic amino acids. Hydrophobic means water hating, hydrophilic means they attract towards the water. So based upon that we have 4 different types. Non-polar amino acids which doesn't have charge on the R group. Okay, so there are these amino acids are the hydrophobic and lipophilic. Examples for the non-polar amino acids are the alanine, leucine, isoleucine, okay, valine, methionine. Okay, so all these are the examples of the non-polar amino acids. Next what we have is the polar amino acid with no charge on the R group, but these are the hydrophilic in nature. Okay, so they also doesn't have any charge on the R group, but they have special side chain. Okay, they have groups like hydroxyl groups, sulfur groups, okay, amides. Due to the presence of these groups in their side chain, they can form hydrogen bond with the in the protein structure. Okay, so due to the presence of hydroxyl, sulfur and amide groups, they can form the hydrogen bond of the protein structure. Okay, so what are the examples of these groups? Glycine, serine, threonine, then cysteine, okay, cysteine, glutamine, asparagine. So all these are comes under the hydrophilic amino acids. Now last two are the positive charge amino acids and the negative charge amino acids. Positive charge amino acids are the basic amino acids which are lysine, arginine and histidine, whereas the negative charge amino acids are the aspartic acid and glutamic acid. Next, the third category, that is based upon the metabolism. Now, this is very important aspect. So in the proteolysis, the carbon skeleton of the amino acids either produce ketone bodies or it will produce glucose or glycogen. Okay, so based upon the fate of the carbon skeleton of the amino acid, so again amino acids are classified as ketogenic, that means which can produce the ketone bodies through acetyl-CoA. Then some of the amino acids can produce both glucose and ketone bodies. Those are classified as glucogenic and ketogenic amino acid. And the third group which we have is they produce only glucose or the glycogen through the TCA cycle. Okay, so what are the ketogenic amino acids? Okay, so leucine and glycine. So these two are the exclusively ketogenic amino acids. That means the carbon skeleton of these two particular amino acids converted into acetyl-CoA, then acetyl-CoA act as a precursor for the synthesis of the ketone bodies. So they are called as the ketogenic amino acids. Next what we have are glucogenic and ketogenic amino acids. That means half of the carbon skeleton will be used to produce glucose and remaining half will be used to produce the ketone bodies. Okay, the 4 amino acids belongs to this group, which are isoleucine, phenyl, alanine, tryptophan and the tyrosine. So these 4 are the both glucogenic and ketogenic. Now the remaining amino acids, there are about 14 amino acids which are only glucogenic. That means they act as a precursors for the formation of glucose or glycogen through the TCA cycle, like methionine, aspartate, glycine, alanine. So all these amino acids comes under the glycogenic, or you can say glucogenic amino acids. So this is the based on the metabolic fate of the carbon skeleton of the amino acids. Okay. Next, what we have is the last group of classification, that is the nutritional classification. Again, this is very important aspect. Okay, so as I said, 21 amino acids are present in our body. Now, how many are synthesizing in our body and how many we have to consume through the diet? Okay, so whatever we have to consume through the diet, those are called essential amino acid, and which can our body can synthesize, those are called non-essential amino acid. That means these amino acids need not to be consumed through the diet, because our body can produce the amino acids. What are the essential amino acids? Okay, so essential means which cannot be synthesized our body and we have to consume through the diet. Why we have to consume through the diet? Because all the 20 or 21 amino acids are required for the protein synthesis. If one of the other amino acids is not present in our body, the particular protein synthesis will be halted or it will not happen. Okay, so that's why all the amino acids are required for the protein synthesis. That's why amino acids which cannot be synthesized our body, we have to consume through the diet. So these are the 10 amino acids which are essential and has to be supplied through the diet for the proper growth and the maintenance of the individuals. Okay, then the remaining 10 amino acids are non-essential. That means our body can synthesize, and there are 2 amino acids which are called semi-essential. So those two are the arginine and the histidine. Okay, so why semi-essential means arginine and histidine can be synthesized by the adults, but growing children, they have to supply it through the diet. That's why they are called as semi-essential. So last one are the conditionally essential amino acid. Conditionally means when a person is suffering from the severe or the chronic infection, that person may not able to synthesize the non-essential amino acids. Okay, so what happens in those times, these non-essential amino acids also will become the essential amino acids and we have to consume through the diet. For example, glycine, cysteine, tyrosine, proline. Usually these are the non-essential amino acids. No need to supply through the diet. So all these are the classification of the amino acids based upon their structure, based upon their side chain, based upon their metabolic fate, and finally the nutritional classification. Okay, now we'll see the functions of the amino acids. The major function we already know, we have discussed so many times, that is the building blocks of the proteins, or proteins are the polymers of the amino acids. Apart from that, in each individual amino acids are variety of roles in our body. For example, glycine. Glycine is a not chiral amino acid. It doesn't have 4 different molecules in their structure. So because of this, it can fit in both hydrophobic and hydrophilic environments. Okay, then methionine is an initiator amino acid. Initiator means in the protein synthesis there should be one starting point or starting material. Okay, so methionine act as a starting amino acid. So that is the initiator, which is coded by the AUG codon. Okay, so it will be incorporated first in the protein chain. In case if it is prokaryotic, the methionine will be formulated. Okay, then proline, which is amino acid, which causes conformational rigidity. Because of the least flexible of the proline, it causes conformational rigidity in the protein structure, and due to the presence of this amino acid, there will be a bends in the protein structure. Then we have valine. So this is the significance, not the function. This is the significance. If valine is replaced the glutamic acid at the 6th position in the hemoglobin structure, it will cause the sickle cell anemia. And we know that glutamic acid and glutamine act as the neurotransmitters in the brain. Arginine, okay, which is important, are the starting material for the formation of the nitric oxide, which itself act as a signal molecule in our body. Then phenylalanine, which is a precursor for the tyrosine. Okay, so there is an enzyme, absence of that enzyme causes phenylketonuria. Okay, so this we can discuss in the next classes. Then next, catecholamine are derived from the tyrosine, even thyroid hormones, melanin, skin pigment. So which all are derived from the tyrosine, but tyrosine itself is derived from the phenylalanine. Then we have tryptophan, serotonin, melatonin, all these neurotransmitters are derived from the tryptophan. Then what we have is the cysteine. It is a component of the glutathione. Glutathione is a tripeptide which has 3 amino acids, which has so many important functions in our body, and cysteine is a component of the glutathione. Okay, so these are the some of the important functions of the individual amino acids besides their incorporation into the protein structure. And some of the amino acids, they undergo post translation modifications also. Next, the important topic is non-standard amino acids. So there are several other amino acids which are biologically important. They sometimes present in the proteins or sometimes freely present in the cell. So those are called as a non-standard amino acids. And there are some amino acids which are not alpha amino acids. As I told, in our body most of the amino acids are L-alpha amino acids, but there are some amino acids which are beta amino acids also present. Okay, so which are classified into derived amino acids found in the proteins, non-protein amino acids and non-alpha amino acids. Okay, so derived amino acids means they are produced by the post-translation modification of the proteins. Once the protein synthesized, it undergoes so many modifications. For example, classic example what we have is the proline and lysine. So these will be hydroxylated and produce hydroxyproline and hydroxylysine. They incorporated into the collagen. Okay, so that is the one examples of the derivated proteins or amino acids. Next, what we have is the non-protein amino acids. Remember, these non-protein amino acids are never present in the protein structure, but they perform so many biological important functions in our body. They present freely in our cells. Okay, so a few examples are important. One are the ornithine, citrulline. So creatinine derived from muscle and excreted in the urine completely, it will be excreted. Then certain drugs, homocysteine also. Then these are the non-alpha amino, gamma aminobutyric acids, GABA, delta aminolevulinic acid. It is starting molecules in the heme synthesis. Okay, so taurine, it is found in association with the bile acids. So these are the some of the important non-standard amino acids with their functions in our body. In examination point of view also, for short answers, this non-standard amino acids is very important. So this is about the amino acids, their classification, functions, and some of the functions and compounds of the non-standard amino acids. Okay, so we'll meet with the next video. If you're not subscribed to the channel, subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon for the latest updates.